here's the cams. I did know what these are. They're not a 272, they are a Tomei Poncam, but they're more mild than that. Intake is the closest one to me, so I want to do this one first. As in the side of the head, I think. These have been wrapped up for a few months now. Got a light coat of oil on them. That's the seal, which I've got a new one of to replace it. That's going to need a clean, just to get any debris off it. I have to be really careful here because of the coarseness of the casting surface, that I don't leave bits of rag behind. I will give it a good solid blast with air as well to make sure. Again, quick clean, isopropanol. Nice and shiny. I have replacement bolts for these can caps as well. They're upstairs, I think. Got our assembly lube here. I think the best option is to put it straight onto the cam. Trying to not really get it on the lobes. If a little bit gets on there, I'm not too worried, but it's mainly for the journal surfaces. You don't want to coat the lobes because if you get a bit of this done down in the hydraulic lifter, it's going to have a negative effect on those hydraulic lifters bleeding out and stuff, doing what you want it to do. I'm not so worried that I'm going to wipe off little bits of excess and dribble. More. I may have to now. Okay, if I pick that up by the end, finger in there and that there. This is the bit that worries me, how it's lifted by the cams, by the springs. Should be fine. And that, yeah, so that scratch over here isn't actually on a bearing surface. That's fine. So that goes like that. pressure on any of them. I doubt it. No matter what orientation I had this at, there is pressure on one of the sets of valves or another. See if we can get it where I don't have one pointed straight down at least. So that's its install orientation because there's the cutouts for the head bolts. That is number 6 pointing straight down. Number 3 pointed straight down, and then it sort of falls into that location. I'd say that's the least stress. There's nothing under there that's going to stop the valve. The valve's just going to go down when I do it up, but I said to be cautious that I do it up evenly and make sure I don't go bending cams. I need my new bolts. They're upstairs. Here's my new cam cap bolts. With washers. No, the washers are in this other box that came, I think. So it seems I definitely have not received enough washers for the cam cap bolts. These are they, 20 there. 14, I need 28. At least, because then you've got the brackets that go on top of the back couple. So what I'll do is I'll reuse the washers with the new bolts. I don't think it's going to be a drama. Actually, tell a lie, these have got them built in. That's what's going on there. Do I need the washer? What's the overall length of thread and everything from the underside? No. The thread starts higher. You probably can't see that. So if I add a washer to it, it'll be too far out. So that's supposed to be like that. Now lubrication. Pretty sure it says engine oil. Let's have a look. A little bit of that. Let it run down. Pop it in the hole. Pop this old one out. Lose the washer. Dip it in the oil. Let it run down under the head. There we go, put that in there. So we now got lubricated and lubricated under there. Pop this on. That's fine. This shouldn't be difficult. Why is it difficult? My fingers are slippery? Is that why? Is that the only reason? No, goes in there just fine. These all started finger tight, so when it pulls down it's going to be pushing the valves in. Doesn't matter what location I put it on, it's going to do that. As long as we follow the torquing sequence, it should be fine. That's what I'm hoping. So it's not quite in the location they're asking for here, so let's see if we can rotate that. Loosen these off so there's no real pressure. So they want this here. If that's level, they want it up here, so about 30 degrees. So again, there's no real pressure on this. These are all just sitting here. So it shouldn't be a drama. Rotate. Totally not a drama. slightly want. Yeah, slightly above horizontal. They want the number 4 journal to be so cylinder 3 to be being depressed in the center of the camshaft. That's the one they want loaded. Alright, and then a bolt sequence, I'll just start gently touching it up with this. This is number 1. This one's next. Just trying to pull it up even. This is not the proper sequence yet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just get even pressure on them as it depresses that valve. I don't know why they want it at the point where you're depressing a valve all the way. Where I had it sort of seemed to make more sense, but that's what they're telling me to do. I'll be a little bit here just pulling it all down into place, and then I'll get the torque wrench out when I need it. I'm really trying to make sure they're even as well, just at this stage. I put these in before, they were in the car, it wasn't a drama. Just get the rattle gun out. Okay, so there's not a great deal of load on any of them there. I'll just be here for a while playing with it, slowly pulling them in together. So I've just pulled these down gently. They're snug tight, there's no real tension on them. It's all pulled down nice and evenly. Now I've got my camshaft oil seal here. It's got to go on, and I want to put it on before I tighten up this front bit, just to make my life a little bit easier to get it in. And in a pinch I can probably back this off a little bit if I need to. Gently tap it in with this. It's not tight, torqued up or anything, so yeah. Lovely. If you've got a big enough socket, that would be preferred. Every time I touch something I get friggin' assembly lube on me. It says to install this after putting the cover on. I really can't. It's in there now, so I can't see how we can damage it in doing anything I'm about to do. I'll double check that, and if I need to I'll go and buy a bigger socket that I can sit over this and knock it further back if I have to. But for now, torque wrench time. Torque these up. So these are OE bolts, so we're using OE torque spec, which is, fuck all from memory, 9 to 12 Newton meters. So I'm going to do these up in 2 stages like I do everything else. Now this goes down at 9. Okay, I've got a 6.8 and a 13.6 is the next gradient, so the underside of the line should be something like 12, I reckon. I'll measure it and see, because we've got zeros here, so that's that divided by 10. So 180 degree rotation is the difference between that and that, and I've got 5 gradients to work with, so I'll be able to work that out. I set on the last torque setting I got, which is 6.8. And torquing in the correct sequence. Really is bugger all torque. It's 10.88. So 3 graduations. 1, 2, 3. Should be 10.88 Newton meters, which is in the middle of that torque range. Done. Cam installed. I will just, I've got all on my hands anyway, just give all the cam lobes a bit of a dose of oil so they don't rust, so they're well lubricated when they do rotate. Got something on them already, but not the assembly lube on them. I think if you use the assembly lube, it'll block up the holes. Everyone says just use oil, so just use oil. It's different if you got like old school roller rocker type deals. Don't be shy with the oil. Get it in there. So one cam installed. Still have to put the baffles on the ends. That's a 2-minute job. So pop the cam on this side, and yeah, can go on the head, on the block. It's getting close, getting very close. They pulled down just fine, nice and even. Got the angle right as per the manual, and yeah, it all just pulled down, no drama. These have been torqued up now on the exhaust side. Before I do that, where's my oil tub? Oh, there it is. Let's get some oil on these lobes here. So we just put these baffles on. These are torqued down to the same as the bolt they're on, so pretty easy. Washer, spring washer, yeah, that way. I always put them so you're pushing with the spring when you put them down, when you're doing them up, and that's just something I've always done. Just makes it easier to compress the spring, I suppose, on the spring washer. So I don't bother doing these up in stages. Well, I sort of do, but I don't bother resetting the torque wrench. Just get them nipped up and then torque them up. The only reason I'm using the torque wrench on this is I don't want to over torque the cam cap below it if it happened to bind up and actually do the bolt up into the head a bit more. That would be bad. Oh, that one's up to spec. So that one. So that one. Yep. So for anyone who wants to Google exactly what cams these are, A20X, that's the part number, and when I googled that I found out exactly what they were, and I was very happy with what they were. I think they're like a 8.7mm lift, or yeah, they're not massive, they're not big power cams, they're a mid-range responsive sort of cam, and they're sufficient for my purposes. Cams aren't really a thing in RBs unless you want a dyno queen. But here's the last job here. Just clean this off, excess oil that's running down here. Mixture of oil and stuff. what's the stuff? Assembly lube. So we've got a nice dry surface and clean surface later on for our seals for the covers. Let's bolt that to the engine, eh? Should we do that? What do we need to do that? Do I need a multi-layered steel gasket? Just so I happen to have one of those upstairs. And ARP head studs. These might be the girdle studs, bolts actually, but I have got ARP head studs too in our box somewhere. No, the girdles, these are the girdle bolts here. They're just OE replacement ones. Only ARP studs are the head studs. So happy days. Seals on. I will just loosely put this back on. Just put this plate in place so that I don't lose it. Put can gears on. I've got to put the VCT solenoid back on. There's a handful of ancillary bits that have to go back on this before it needs to go on the engine, but at the same time not all of them have to go on before it goes on the engine either. So I might have some lunch, have a chill out for 5 minutes because I've been at this for a few hours. Finished putting the valve retainers in this morning with extra help, and yeah, it's tedious and difficult, so got fairly angry and jaded this morning, but this has come together nicely, and I think that's time for an Instagram photo, or maybe a screenshot, like a thumbnail photo or something. Alright, I'll let you know what I'm doing in a minute. I have no idea how I'm going to cut this together and what episodes or whatever. I'm just worrying now about getting it together. I'll worry about editing later. It's more important to get it done for me than it is to film it and do all the YouTubey stuff. Unfortunately, that's going to take us backstage to finishing the job. I'm sure you'll understand. See ya.